FM 100.9 on this beautiful, beautiful 9th day of January 2021. We have a cool, crisp, I like that word, crisp morning outside. It's 30.5 right here, 30.5, not 35, 30.5 here at the studios. And it felt every bit of that 30.5 this morning. The grass was crackling as I was walking on it this morning. That's crisp. Todd, my engineer this morning. Todd, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We were talking. So we are all talking about, I'm going to talk about taxes in a minute. Why can I talk about taxes, Todd? Because I'm an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is a person enrolled with the Internal Revenue Service to represent taxpayers in all matters. I prepare tax returns. I do financial strategies. I help people with tax issue resolution. I like saying that, tax issue resolution. As an enrolled agent, I spent most of my day talking to employees of the Internal Revenue Service, resolving problems, getting things done. I also deal with other taxing authorities like the state of North Carolina and other states. As an enrolled agent, I practice in all 50 states. I've actually got clients all around the world. Pretty impressive for just a little hometown accountant. But that is the power of the internet. You can people have contacted me from all over. And those of you live streaming, speaking of the internet, www.WCAB59.com. Those of you watching me this morning, good morning. You're seeing here in the blue room, I have got a wonderful Daniel Crumo tie, brown this morning. Got the browns on for the winter, and my hair does look fabulous. Robin was concerned. She said the other day I needed a little spiffying up, so she took care of that. Those of you live streaming, thank you so much. So if you need to get me, my telephone number is 828-289-9300. You can send me an email at gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. And you can send me an email. I had a request for some information. A person specifically wanted to hear about 1099s, and I am going to be talking about those. Those are the 1099s. This year, we have a change in the 1099s. The basic equation hasn't changed, but we have a new 1099 form because, you can never have enough forms, right? So we have a new form. I'm going to talk a little bit about ABLE accounts. ABLE accounts are for people that are disabled and their families. And it is a way for people that are disabled to be able to save money because really, the rules are kind of crazy, but if you're a disabled person and you're on SSDI or you're on food stamps, SNAP, or you're on SSI, you can't have money. If you have over $2,000, they take your benefits away. Like $2,000 is a lot of money. So it's always been difficult. It's been a challenge. ABLE accounts may help those people. I'm going to talk about that, okay? There is new payroll protection forgiveness rules. I'm going to talk about those. But I'm going to get right to this. This is, I'm shaking a piece of paper here for those of you that can hear this. This is hot off the press. I actually got this yesterday at 3 p.m., January 8th, 2021, Friday at 3 p.m. I got this from our software provider. Now, they normally don't send out these bulletins. We get them, very few of them throughout the tax year. So when we get one, they're usually very, very important. As a matter of fact, for those of you live streaming, I'm holding it up. It says important alert. So when we get this is information I've got to share with everybody. It says, dear customer, I don't like letters that start dear customer. Usually, dear customer, the IRS has been sending out the second round of stimulus payments. Unfortunately, the IRS made a mistake and sent millions of payments to the wrong accounts. Because of this, many taxpayers, including some of your clients, many of my clients, including some of your clients, have not received their payment. We are working tirelessly with the tax software industry, our bank partners, and the IRS to get this money distributed to affected taxpayers as soon as possible. As announced today, and I'm going to read that announcement in a minute, As announced today, the IRS has taken immediate steps to redirect stimulus payments to the correct account for those affected. It is anticipated that many taxpayers will receive payments following this effort. For taxpayers who checked Get My Payment and received a response indicating a direct deposit was to be sent to an account they did not recognize, the IRS advises them to continue to monitor their bank accounts for deposits. The IRS newsroom will have the latest IRS updates on this issue. And then it gives you a website, www.irs.gov/newsroom. Okay, so the IRS made a mistake, Todd. They made a mistake. They had one job to get $600 out to taxpayers, $1,200 for married filing jointly, plus $600 for each dependent. Okay, so they had this one job, and they couldn't do it. Millions of payments went. I'm going to read it again. The IRS has been sending out the second round of stimulus. Unfortunately, the IRS made a mistake and sent millions of payments to the wrong accounts. Because of this, many taxpayers, including some of your clients, have not received their payment. Okay, so what makes this important is my phone has literally been ringing off the cradle with people wanting to know where their money is because, of course, their mother got the money or their neighbor got the money, their dog got, everybody got the money but them. Okay, so which now we know, and I would just say, well, just wait. You know, if you got the $1,200 or $2,400 or whatever you got, you're probably going to get it. Just wait. Just wait. And then the IRS said they were going to get it out by the 15th so we could reconcile it on the tax return. Well, now we're learning that millions. Okay, so let me go to the IRS website. This went right there, being the diligent. I got this at 3 o'clock yesterday, January 8th. And look at this, Todd. At 3:25, I'm already on the IRS website. There's the timestamp on that little guy. I am right there. Yes. Todd is nodding yes. He didn't even. Okay. Todd's nodding yes. I want you to make sure you verify this, Todd. Yeah, we verify everything here on Gilbert Talks Taxes. Okay. IRS statement. Update on economic impact payments. The IRS. So the first part of it is just them patting themselves on the back for what a good job they've done. The IRS, Treasury continue to work closely with partners. At this point, over 100 million EIPS have been direct deposited into eligible accounts. Some recipients have had their payments directed to a temporary bank account established when their 1929 tax return was filed. The IRS and tax industry partners, but that's not the mistake they made. And their partners are working to redirect these payments. Okay, so they admit that's a problem. The IRS emphasizes, this goes on for like 2 pages, so I'm just trying to cut to the chase here. The IRS emphasizes that the information taxpayers see in the Get My Payment tool, including account numbers and potential deposit dates, may not display an accurate account number. As we continue to work through updates, no action is necessary for taxpayers as this work continues. They do not need to call the IRS, their tax provider, or their financial institution. Well, let me help you. Who are they calling? The IRS, their tax provider, and their financial institution, because you created a tool, folks at the IRS, you created a tool and it doesn't work. So what do you expect people to do? People want to know where their money is. They want to know where their $600 is. They want to know they want to know where the money is, Todd. That's the bottom line. And why I haven't. I was driving back. I'm driving back. We went out of town, came back, and I stopped at a gas station. This is like, I don't even know the time, like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. We stop at a gas station to get gas and get something to drink. And I asked the girl at the counter, very nice, pleasant lady, I said, excuse me, can I have a receipt? And she said, sure. I said, I'm sorry, I'm an accountant. I get a receipt for everything. She goes, you're an accountant? I said, yes, I am. She said, where's my $600? I said, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So I got like 3 minutes. She said, I looked on the website. This is a cashier at a gas station in the middle of nowhere, okay, asking me where her $600 are. People want information. Okay, so they go on to give you some additional information, direct deposits, mail, tax returns. The way it looks right now, so they go on and give you this. Okay, the way it was supposed to work is if you are retired, you're on Social Security, you do not file a tax return, they were going to use the Social Security bank account that your Social Security gets deposited into. That's what they were supposed to do. Okay, we've gotten a lot of phone calls from people that have a direct deposit bank account, they have their Social Security deposited, but they got a check in the mail. Okay, I'm talking about the first $1,200. Okay, so what's going to happen the second time around? They were supposed to have fixed that problem. You're supposed to have had your money direct deposited. Okay, so if that didn't happen, just be looking for a check in the mail, be checking your bank account. Supposedly they're going to fix this problem or are fixing this problem. They're probably, what I'm thinking is they're just going to default to mail. If anything happens with the direct deposit, they go to put it in, it gets rejected for whatever reason. What I'm thinking is they're just going to go and default to sending you a check, because that's what happens with when they do a refund normally. So during tax season, we file your tax return, you're getting a refund. We tell you that within 14 to 21 days, you're going to get that refund. Okay? If there's any problem with your bank, and there's problems can be anything from you gave me the wrong bank account number, the wrong bank account number got put in the tax return by accident, it didn't get caught, the bank rejected it for whatever reason. Some banks, if the refund check is not made out to the name exactly as they have it on the account, their computer will kick it back. It's happened. So, or they have a third person on the bank account. They have maybe a trustee or a guardian or whatever. They'll have a third party that's got authority in their bank account. If that name's not on the refund check, they'll reject it. So it's just computers. So be on the lookout for it in the mail. Now, let's say it's end of January and you still have not gotten your money. Okay, your $600. And this applies to last year's $1,200 that you were supposed to have gotten. Let's say you didn't get either. What we are doing is the tax return has two lines on it. One is called for EIP, Economic Impact Payment 1, and Economic Impact Payment 2. And you're going to need to tell me, Gilbert, I did not get the $1,200, but we qualify. Because I don't know if you qualified or not. I have to look at it, but you qualify, or if you don't know, you tell me, I don't know, did I qualify? I'll look it up. I'll say, yes, you qualified. So we put in there that you did not get it. We put in there how much received, 0, or how much received, $1,200 or $2,400 or $3,000, whatever. We put a number in there. And then EIP2, did you get your $600 or $1,200 or $1,800, depending on how many dependents you have? We put that in there. Then that will go on your tax return, and you'll receive it when you get your refund. Okay? Likewise, if you owe taxes, if you owe money, that money, a part of that money will go to pay that too. So that will pay your tax. So in a way, supposedly, unless they change that, that's the way we're seeing this thing work, which that money was supposed to be a tax-free grant. So how that's going to work, we will see. Remember, this money was not supposed to be if you owe money for child support, if you owe money for student loans, if you owe money for back taxes, any of the things that they're keeping your money for, this was not supposed to go to any of that. Because I had people call me and say they didn't get it, that they'd take it for their child support or this or that. I said, they weren't supposed to. They weren't supposed to, but I don't know. These computers, I just read you the news release. Millions of payments were sent to the wrong accounts. So I think the thing's turning out to be a little bit more of a challenge than they thought. So do you think I've answered everybody's question on this, Todd? Where's your payment? Where's my payment? Yes. Look, I should have gotten that cashier's telephone number so I could follow up with her and see. And I said all this to her, by the way. I explained all of this to her, and she listened very patiently, and she said, okay.
Unless you had a check in your hand, it wouldn't matter.
Unless I had, yes, or I could have called someone at the IRS at 2 in the morning at a truck stop in, like, somewhere outside of Durham. Unless I could have done that, there was just no way this girl was going to be satisfied. She was very unhappy about not getting her. I think for her it was $1,800. She's very, very unsatisfied with this situation, the way it was. Well, originally, we're going to take a break here. Originally, they were the initial news releases and stuff, or the information we were getting is they were trying to have the payments out by the 15th, so that because people will start filing tax returns as early as the 20th. We've already got people. I already have appointments this week with people that have gotten their W-2s that we're doing tax returns. So I've actually already done some 2020 tax returns. I did 2 yesterday. So, and we're going to have people already have their W-2s. I have an appointment today. Somebody who's already got theirs pulled together. Yesterday was the first day to e-file business tax returns. So the e-file platform is open for that. Now the 1040, we don't know what the first day to e-file that is. It's going to be somewhere around the week of the 18th. It normally is. Normally it's somewhere around the 20th, the 21st, 23rd. It's been all over there. One year it ran late, and I think we did it on the 27th. But this year they're claiming we're going to be good to go and everything's worked out. So, but after this press release, I'm not so sure. Okay, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the new 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation, and changes to the old 1099 miscellaneous. The 1099 miscellaneous is still around. It did not go away. But now we have the new 1099 NEC. Let's take a quick break here, Todd. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
Let Jesse James Railroad Express be your daily lunch stop. Enjoy delicious burgers, clubs, fresh salads, and much more. And now Jesse has an incredible daily lunch special that you cannot resist. 2 hot dogs, a bag of chips, and a 16-ounce drink for only $4.99. Now that's what I call a lunch special. Now don't forget your refreshing Coke float, Dr. Pepper float, or an orange creamsicle float, or a hand-dipped ice cream cone. Open Monday through Friday, 11 till 6, Saturday, 11 till 4, closed Wednesday and Sundays. Located at 531 Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton, call 828-447-4644 for takeout orders. All aboard the Jesse James Railroad Express. And Mondays only, mention this ad, get a regular hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions for only 99 cents.
I want to tell you about a little-known Rutherford County gem, Integrity Marble and Granite, located at 287 Shiloh Road in Forest City. They are the premier stone fabrication company in the western North Carolina region. They specialize in granite, marble, and natural stone, offering complete design and installation. Their design center and Kohler showroom features vanities, decorative accessories, bathroom, and kitchen fixtures. You do not have to go to Charlotte or Asheville for this kind of quality. We have it right here in Forest City. Stop in their showroom and browse their beautiful displays, or you can call 828-247-8801 for a free quote. You can also go to their website, www.integritymarblegranite.com, and look at the pictures and see samples of their available materials. Now, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes, and they will give you $100 off any sink purchase. That's Integrity Marble and Granite.
We are back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. Those of you live streaming, www.wcab59.com. I'm just all confused here. www.wcab59.com. Thank you for tuning in and live streaming. I appreciate it. Okay, so that's the latest on the IRS stimulus. And like as Todd so succinctly pointed out, unless I have a check in my hand to give you for $600, really most people are just just going to go, okay, because what can you do? What can you do but wait? They're still going to try to get it out by the 15th. That's it. Okay, the new. So I'm switching gears here. Let me talk about the new 1099 miscellaneous. Now, the best thing to do is, if you have any questions about these 1099s, the best thing to do is the IRS does have instructions for the 1099, and really it's a relatively short publication considering the impact of it and how ubiquitous this form is. It's only 13 pages, a 13-page IRS manual. That's almost like an introduction to some of their manuals. So this is the entire manual. So the bottom line is this. This is for business people now, those of you that issue 1099s. Back in the day, last year and every year before, if you issued a 1099 to a person that worked for you that was not an employee, okay, not an employee, you put that amount of money in box 7, non-employee compensation. And you had that person's name and address, social security number, your EIN number, your address, and you mailed that thing to him, and you mailed one to the IRS, and you're done. Now, we can have a whole conversation, and I've done whole shows on what is an employee and what is a contractor. And it's not like a fine line. It is a broad road between what is an employee and what is a contractor. And a lot of people still have, and it's predominantly small business because of the cost savings. I mean, it is expensive to have an employee. It is expensive to issue W-2s. Not that issuing them is expensive, just to have an employee. You have the matching FICA, Social Security, Medicare. You have as an employer, you have to match 50% of it. You have to maintain a lot of paperwork. You have to maintain a whole system, and then at the end of the year, you're giving them W-2s. So people just choose to avoid all of that by just paying them cash or a check or whatever, and at the end of the year, giving them a 1099. Okay, technically that's wrong. If there are points, there are steps, there is a way to determine if they are an employee or a self-employed individual, an independent contractor, and you're supposed to follow these steps. There's 13 points, 16 points. There's a lot of they're called tests. You're supposed to go through these tests. You know, do they punch a clock when they get to your place? You know, the old time card. If they're punching a clock, if they're clocking in and clocking out, the IRS will almost always say these are employees. Okay? Do they work in your facility all the time? Are they free to work for other people? Do they make their own hours? Do they bring their own tools? Or do they use your tools, whatever those tools may be, whether it's a laptop or a hammer? Do they use your tools, or do they bring in their own tools? Are they free to come and go? Is the job per job? In other words, if you say, Todd, I've got these 1,000 widgets that need to be made, I've got to have them made by Friday. You just come and do them. That you're an independent contractor. You come, you do them when you on your schedule, your time, your plan. You figure out how to do it and you do it, and I'm just going to pay you by the widget. That's an independent contractor more than likely. But if I tell you you got to be here from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and I'm paying you $10 an hour, and you got to punch in when you get here and punch out when you leave, you get a 30-minute lunch, you get 2 15-minute breaks, that's an employee. That is not an independent contractor. What happens is if the IRS comes and audits you, and usually it's not the IRS that'll snag you. It's usually the North Carolina Department of Employment Securities, unemployment people, or the Department of Labor. Those are the ones that are usually come in because there's been a complaint or there's some paperwork or they're looking through your filings and see you've got a lot of 1099 that go out. So, and they're the ones that'll come and audit you, and then they'll say you've got these are employees. I've actually sat through a few of those with some people, and it's not a pretty sight because what they'll do is they'll go back and make you pay that unemployment insurance make you pay that FICA, make you pay these things for a number of years. So you really want to be careful what you do and how you do it. Make sure the person is truly a contractor. Make sure they are truly not an employee, non-employee. Okay, so that said, we have a new form. There are special instructions. You're going to go through it all. The 1099 miscellaneous is still going to be available, but it's mostly going to be for rent, prices and award, other income payments. Other income payments is like cash paid out to print to estates and partnerships and things like that. Fishing boat proceeds are going to go on box 5. Health and medical care payments are going to go on box 6. Then we've got crop insurance proceeds and payments to an attorney, box 10. Then we've got some Section 409A deferrals and non-qualified deferred compensation. That's all going to go on the traditional 1099 miscellaneous. That's still going to go there. But now we have the 1099 non-employment compensation. That is where you would have put the non-employee compensation, the box 7 from the old 1099 on this. Now the rules have not changed as far as the $600. If you paid a person more than $600, you're still going to need to give them a 1099 miscellaneous or a 1099 NEC, depending on what it is. Now, royalties is the exception. At least $10 in royalties qualifies for the 1099 miscellaneous, but the rest of it is $600. Okay, so if it's $600, you're going to send this. Now, there's a whole conversation, and again, I have done whole programs on this. Who should you give a 1099 to? The rule of thumb used to be, if you're dealing with a brick and mortar business, if you're dealing with a plumber who is a real plumber who has a business, and he gives you a quote and then he gives you an invoice, and these aren't like steps like he had to give you a quote, but typically this is the scenario. A guy comes out, gives you a quote, you've got a big project, many thousands of dollars, and if it's a business, you want to show these expenses. He gives you a quote, then he gives you a work order, then he gives you an invoice. Typically, you do not have to give that person a 1099. That person is a contractor. So carpenters, HVAC, plumbers, electricians, all these kind of people, framers, people that do drywall, roofers. You know, a roofing job, a $10,000 roofing job today is not a big deal anymore. So people say, should I give these guys a 1099? No, you don't have to. You dealt with a reputable, roofer, and you paid him. Now, if some guy comes and gives you, and he's got a truck, and he gets out of his truck, and he says, I'll do that job for you for $5,000. Oh, and by the way, I want to get paid cash. I don't know. Number one, I don't know that I'd want to do business with this guy, especially if there's warranties and things involved. Number two, you got to question this guy, and you just may want to give him a 1099 because he doesn't have a location. He works on his own. He's working out of a truck. What happens is when you get audited later, if it's a business expense, you're going to write that off. You don't even have a canceled check to show that you gave it to this guy, especially if you paid cash. So you may want to avoid a situation like that. So there's a lot of minor details with it. I really recommend you read the instructions for the 1099 NEC if you have a lot of contract labor that falls in this category, because there's a lot of details. And I could go down the road with these details and I'd probably put everybody to sleep, because if it doesn't pertain to you, you're probably not too interested. But just know that it is a thing this year. 1099 NEC, it's what you're going to use. It only has box 1, and that box 1 is for non-employee compensation. You're going to put that full amount there. You're going to send it to them just like you have in the past. But please be aware. Know when a person is an employee. Know when a person is a true subcontractor. Now, there is no rule that you have to give one to everybody. The original little trivia fact here before we take a break. In the original Affordable Care Act, the original Obamacare Act, they had it in there that every business needs to give every transaction a 1099. The IRS literally wanted a database of every transaction. That was in the law. I guess nobody read it. And it was the director of the IRS, I forget her name at the time. She wasn't like the commissioner, but she was a director that was in charge of that department. And she went to Congress, and she was a bold lady. I actually met her one time. She went to the IRS. I'm sorry, she went to Senate, and she went to the Congress committee and said, "Where are you going to put my new warehouse?" And they said to her, "What warehouse?" And they said, "The warehouse you're going to have to build me to store all these 1099s, because you are literally talking about billions of pieces of paper." That is how many transactions happen monthly in the United States. She said, "You want a 1099 for every transaction. Where am I going to put them? And how am I going to handle this?" Well, they immediately took that out of the law. That like the next day, that came out of the law. So there's a lot of debate on who should get it. My only advice is talk to your tax practitioner, go through the rules, go through the steps, and just determine and label these people independent contractor, independent contractor or brick and mortar contractor, and just go down and decide who to give them to. If you can't give one, you can't make a mistake if you give somebody one that shouldn't have gotten one. It's not like there's going to be any penalty for doing that. So you have a plumber who has a brick and mortar, and he's got a license, and he's a licensed plumber with an EIN, and you say, "Well, I'm going to give him one." Well, if you did, it's not a big deal. It's not, you're not going to get any trouble for it. You wouldn't want to give everybody one. They cost about $6 to $10 to process, depending on how you do it and who you do it through. Some people just do it through TurboTax, QuickBooks. They have their own things. You can get them at Staples. They're not cheap. They're expensive because they're in triplicate. One for you, one for them, one for the IRS. You have to mail them out. There are services that do it. We do it for all our clients. And it costs anywhere from $6.95 to $9.95, depending on all the details of what's involved. And then there's generating the financial report that generates the numbers. So there's a lot to this. If you need more help with this, please call me, 828-289-9300. Send me an email. I'll be more than happy to forward you the instructions to the form. You can actually get it from irs.gov. Just search for 1099. You'll get the instructions for the 1099. And they have to be done by January 31st, by the way. They go out, they're on the same schedule as W-2s. They all have to go out by January 31st. Todd, let's take a break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
As we get ready for this year's tax season, there's one thought on everyone's mind. Will Gilbert's hair look fabulous this year? Oh, yes, it will. How can I say that? Because I go to Robin Saunders at RSL Salon. Whether it's a good haircut, a pedicure, or a manicure, you can count on RSL Salon. Call Robin at 828-289-9110 because everyone deserves to look fabulous. People come up to me and say, "Gilbert, thank you for doing my tax return, and thank you for getting me that big refund. Do you have any ideas what I can do with that refund?" Oh, yes, I do. Take that refund right over to NC Tractor and Farm Supply, talk to Phil, get you a brand new shiny red Massey Ferguson. That's NC Tractor and Farm Supply, Railroad Avenue. You can call Phil at 828-429-5008. By the way, mention you heard it on Gilbert Talks Taxes. I'm hoping he'll give me a discount when I go buy my brand new shiny Massey Ferguson tractor.
We are back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. If you need to reach me, now you can always call the studio. I'm here, and my able staff is sitting on the couch waiting for the phone to ring, it looks like. They are here. They will take your call. They will give me your question, 828-287-3357. You can call the studio. This is a live program on this 8th day of January. By the way, the temperature is just skyrocketing. It's 32 degrees now. It's above freezing, 32.3. But it's a beautiful day out there. It is sunny. It will be crisp for a while. You can call if you have any questions on any other topic or any topic you want me to talk about. I'm here every Saturday from 8 to 9. Go ahead and call it in. You can send me an email, gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com. The program will be online. You can listen to this again. Okay, we do the audio podcast. Okay. I'm going to talk about ABLE accounts. It's a great deal for disabled people and their families. It's estimated that 61 million adults and over 12.6 million children in the United States have some type of disability. If you have a disabled or a blind child or other family members or are disabled or blind yourself, you should really know about ABLE accounts. ABLE is A-B-L-E. Usually you'll see it in capital letters. ABLE accounts. They're tax-advantaged accounts for disabled. They're relatively new. They first became available in 2015, but they remain little known. Very few people use them. I have helped a few people with them. I'm by far an ABLE expert, but I am finding myself answering questions about these more and more, and I thought this would be a great topic for the program. Let's talk about some positive news for a while. So it's a little known program. It's a shame. It's not a program. I'm sorry. It's really an account. It's an ABLE account. The accounts can be a real game changer for the disabled because they allow disabled individuals to save a fair amount of money without losing government benefits. Okay, why do they lose government benefits? Many disabled individuals and their families rely on means-tested government benefits. That means the government works on means testing, averages, and all that. So that's supplemental Social Security income, which is SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, food stamps, SNAP, Medicaid, and government housing ventures. There are 8.5 million people who receive disabled worker benefits from Social Security. So this is huge. This affects a lot of people. Now, the government benefits are ordinarily suspended, and I have this all printed out, and I'm reading it because this information is very important. I don't want to miss anything or say anything wrong. If people say, Gilbert sounds like he's reading that, because normally, those of you that know me, I talk this stuff off the top of my head because I live it every day. So, but this, I'm deliberately reading this. The government benefits are ordinarily suspended if a disabled or blind person accumulates over $2,000 in cash or other countable assets. This can make it impossible for disabled people to save money for emergencies, buy a house, buy a car, or some of them can't even take a vacation. You can't have $2,000, which is ridiculous because $2,000 is just not a lot of money. And then the government says all these statistics about how people aren't saving money. Well, they're not saving money because you've rigged the program so they can't save money. If they save money, you take their program away. It's insane. $2,000 is not even, with inflation and the cost of living the way it is right now, and the cost of housing, that's not amount of money. What I found, and where I'm having people come to me, is let's say there's a grandfather, grandmother, whatever, aunt, uncle, they've got some money. They've worked, and now they're trying to, do what so many of us do when we're in our 70s and 80s. We want to go ahead and pass that money on to the next generation. Let them enjoy it. Give it to them. And they might want to give Junior, who's on disability, who's got a problem, whatever, give Junior $5,000. Well, they can't because Junior's not allowed to have over $2,000. No, they can give it to Junior's parents and let them administer that, but they may not want to. Junior may not have any parents. There may be a trustee, and if there's a trustee, he's got to report that money. He has to by law. So it's been very difficult. I've run into this. I just ran into a lady that wanted to. She's terminally ill, going to pass away soon, and wanted to leave it wasn't a lot of money. It was a lot of money, but it wasn't like this person was not the recipient, the beneficiary who was on disability, who was a disabled teenager. It wasn't like they were going to be rich now for the rest of their lives. It was a good amount of money. They'd be able to enjoy it, do some things, but eventually that money would run out. But then they would lose all their benefits to get this money, and it doesn't make sense. So fortunately, the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Experience Act of 2014, known as the ABLE Act, is a federal law that authorizes the states to establish ABLE accounts. An ABLE account is a tax-advantaged account. It's a lot like a Section 429 qualified tuition program. Contributions are not tax deductible for federal tax purposes, but they are wholly or partly deductible in some states. So depending on the state you're in, and I'm not going to comment on that because everybody's different, and when you talk to somebody about it, they can advise you at the state level. And I know people listen to me all over the country, so I'm not going to go there. But they are wholly or partly deductible in some states. Okay, the money in an ABLE account grows tax-free, and withdrawals are tax-free without limit if made for qualified disability expenses. Okay? So qualified disability expenses. Most important, contributions to ABLE accounts ABLE accounts up to certain levels are not counted for purposes of mean-tested programs for the blind and disabled. What does that mean? They can get more than $2,000. Okay? You can give them more than $2,000 in an ABLE account, and they can go and use it. Now, they're supposed to use it for qualified disability expenses. Well, most of the people that I know that I'm working with that are on some form of disability, just about all the money they spend is on qualified disability expenses. I mean, that is a pretty low bar in their life because their whole life usually revolves around things related to their disability. To qualify to use an ABLE account, a person must have a disabling condition that began before the age of 26. This includes any person who became eligible to receive SSI, SSDI benefits before the age of 26 due to blindness or disability, or any person of any age who files a certificate providing that he or she has a pre-age 26 mental or physical impairment that is medically provable, results in severe functional limitations, is expected to last at least 12 months, or could result in death, and is confirmed by a signed qualifying disability diagnosis from a qualified physician. Okay, if you're on SSI, SSDI, or some government program, you're going to easily go under this bar, and you'll pass. That's not going to be a problem. It's people that are trying, to maybe use this in a fraudulent way. Surprise that people would do that, but that are going to have problems. But if you're pretty much on a disability, you're blind, you're getting some kind of Social Security income, disability income, you're getting something, you'll qualify. A blind and disabled individual need not be receiving disability benefits to open an ABLE account, because there are some that, because of that $2,000 bar, will not be able to receive any benefits. You can still open up an ABLE account. The age 26 cutoff prevents a majority of disabled individuals from opening ABLE accounts. 61 of the 61 million Americans who are blind or disabled, about 10% are eligible. So they're estimating it's about 6 million people. Now, there is a legislation changing that they've been working on, a pending legislation to increase that to 46, add another 20 years to it. That would allow about another 6 million people to be eligible. But right now it's about 6 million people. Mostly where I'm seeing these accounts, and this, again, it's just my experience, what I'm seeing in my practice, and it's just information I'm passing on to you. I'm not telling you to do this. Please talk to a financial person, talk to a tax preparer, talk to an attorney, talk to whoever is helping you. I just want to make people aware that these ABLE accounts are out there and that they could really solve a problem. Typically what I'm seeing is a teenager, a young person in their teens or preteen who has a disabling condition, and they've got some grandparents that want to just give them some money. That's typically the scenario I'm seeing. Or they've got parents that would like, these are they're not disabled to the point. I mean, they can still do things, and they still want to do things, and they're, they need extra money. Well, they can't accumulate. I mean, you can't have a car. If you have a car over $2,000 that's valued at over $2,000, you've lost your thing. But any car that's under $2,000 isn't worth driving. So it's just it's a trap. So to establish an ABLE account, a disabled person is permitted to have only one ABLE account. The account may be established by the disabled beneficiary or by a family member, a guardian, or a person who has power of attorney. So it can be a family member, does not have to be a parent. It can be a guardian. Those are guardians, by the way, are always court appointed. When we're talking about a guardian, that's not just that you feel you're that person's guardian. No, court appointed. Or a person who has a signed POA. And POAs should be recorded at the courthouse, okay? ABLE accounts may be established for both minors and adults if the beneficiary is a minor and adult is named as an authorized representative of an account. Adult beneficiaries can manage their own ABLE accounts, but if the designated beneficiary is incapable of managing or chooses not to manage the account, a person with signature authority can control the account. The ABLE account program is run by states. This is not a federal account program. 42 states and the District of Columbia have active ABLE programs. An out-of-state disabled person may be able to set up an ABLE account in any state that allows out-of-state residents to do so. Okay, not a problem in North Carolina. As far as I know, South Carolina's good with it too. Links to the, but I've never done one there, but North Carolina, we're good. Links to the ABLE program websites of the participating states can be found at, okay, I'm going to give you this. It's ABLE, A-B-L-E, National Resource Center. They have a website. You can go there, and I did have that website written down. You can go there, and you will find all kinds of information. Yes. Well, no, it just says the ABLE National Resource Center. So just search that in your browser and go there, and the website also allows users to compare ABLE programs of various states. Now, what about the investment options? Okay, I'm not going to be talking about investments per se, but it works just like 529 college saving plans. States offer multiple investment options for your ABLE account. Now, the disabled individual, family friend, or anyone else can contribute an aggregate amount not to exceed the annual gift tax exclusion. So for 2021, this amount is $15,000. Okay, so that is your annual gift tax exclusion. That is the amount of money that a person can give another person and not pay tax. Now remember, it is not the person receiving the gift that pays the tax. It is the person giving the gift that pays the tax. Okay? So I've got my back office gave me some examples. I'm not going to get into that. We're running out of time. Just like 529 plans. Now you can roll over from a Section 529 plan to an ABLE account. So these rollovers are available. There are some lifetime limits of $100,000 in an ABLE account for the benefits. Now, I heard that they were going to suspend that. In most states, it's up to $300,000 to $500,000. I did not look to see where North Carolina is on that, on the limit. It was $100,000. But anyway, withdrawals from the ABLE's account are tax-free as long as the money is used for qualified disability expenses. Now, qualified disability expenses is really broadly defined. I said it's a low bar. It includes education, housing, transportation, employment training, which I know has been kind of expensive and a barrier for some, training and support, assistive technology, technically a laptop with some of the technology that allows blind, partially blind, legally blind people to be able to read books, read materials. That would all qualify for this. Personal support services, home aids, healthcare expenses, financial management and administrative services. Okay, accounts for that, legal fees, funeral expenses. Withdrawals taken from the ABLE account for non-qualified purposes are subject to the regular income tax plus a 10% penalty tax. Okay, well, that's if you pull money out for a non-qualified purpose, you're going to pay tax on it and a 10% penalty. Now, there are some other rules, and there is, okay, so special needs trusts. Some people will set up special needs trusts. This has been a thing. Just if you have one of those, one of the advantages of ABLE accounts that they have over a special needs trust is they're easier and cheaper to set up. And there's really no draft document. You don't have to draft any documents like you do with a trust. And anybody who's drafted a trust knows, number one, you really, really, really need an attorney. Number two, it can have consequences that you don't want in life because things do change, and you've got to keep your trust updated, keep it current, just like your wills. You've got to keep them updated. Okay, so I just wanted to make people aware that these are a thing. ABLE accounts. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me at my office. Send me an email, gilbert@gilberttalkstaxes.com, 828-289-9300. Okay, let's take our last break. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about PPP, and I'm going to go back and share that scripture in Corinthians one more time. But right now, let's take a break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, AM 590, FM 100.9.
This is Gilbert. If you owe the IRS past due taxes, don't call those toll-free national numbers. Local, affordable help is right here in Rutherford County. Stop garnishments, levies, and liens. Call Gilbert Carmona at 828-289-9300. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert, 828-289-9300.
Hi there, this is Kimberly, and I'm here to tell you about Peterson's Auto Service and Detail Shop. As a woman, I'm often apprehensive about taking my car to a dirty service garage. But you can be assured that Peterson's, located at 478 Butler Road, Forest City, has an incredibly clean and safe environment where you get high-quality service at a great price. Peterson's was voted Rutherford County's best auto service 3 years in a row. So take your car to Peterson's for brakes, oil change, North Carolina inspection, tire rotation, headlight lens restoration, scratch removal, and meticulous auto detailing. That's Peterson's at 478 Butler Road, Forest City. You can call him for an appointment at 245-8889.
Gilbert Talks Taxes. We are back. The International Morse Code. I didn't say it because taxation with representation has not been such a good idea either. I'm back. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes. We were just talking during the break, and my commercial there about don't call those 800 numbers. I'm started to put that back on the air because I had somebody come to my office for help. They called a national 800 number and were told that they could help them and make their debt go away, but it would cost them $10,000. And the person paid it, and 3 years later have gotten zero results. Now, do they get results for people? Yes, I'm sure they do. I don't know. I've had very little experience. I don't have people come to my office and say, hey, I paid them money and they did what they said they were going to do. Usually they come to my office and say, I paid them money and nothing happened. That's usually, but then that's why they're coming to my office, right? So the sad part is that that whole job could have been taken care of for probably, I don't know, I'm just guessing, probably could have been taken care of for $500 to $1,000, depending on the complexity of it. I mean, it was water under the bridge. There was nothing I could help him with. The damage had already been done. They needed to just let what this other company started cycle through, and then when it was all done, if there's any appeal rights left, I could jump in and help them with that. But at that point, I'm sorry. But please don't, if you got tax issues, you owe the IRS money. I know they say IRS programs, you can settle for little or nothing. No, that's not true. There are IRS programs, but you have to qualify. And the problem is most people don't qualify. I mean, if you're going to do an offer in compromise and you have any assets, you have to sell your assets first. Or, I mean, there are limits to what you can keep, but it's complicated. It's not a simple thing. And to do it right is not cheap. And I mean, I'm on the phone with the IRS all day. It's what I do. Okay, I've got 6 minutes left. You business people out there, PPP, it's back. Okay, the deadline is March 31st, they've got, I don't know how much money they said. They said they had 30 billion. I mean, a billion here and a billion there, right? Pretty soon you're talking about real money. They said they had 30 billion, I think, they were going to spend down. Now, this is strictly for people who did not, let me repeat, did not get PPP or EIDL the first or second time around. Okay? If you were one of these people that did not get PPP, now you've got a third chance. So I don't think the money is going to disappear as fast as it did the first time around, because it is for new people only. So, but if it's going to expire when it runs out of money, it's going to run out of money. So you get in there, get this done as soon as you can. You can still get it. I'm not going to get into all the rules. I printed everything up, but the rules haven't changed. There's a few new rules. When they made the law, they kept using the word loan, and a lot of people didn't want a loan. I mean, and at the time, in the beginning, our advice to people was don't do this unless you're absolutely impacted, because they had a lot of rules. You had to prove you were impacted. How were you impacted? People didn't know. And if you remember early on, people were still working. Everything was fine. We didn't know as time went along. And then that bar kept getting lowered and lowered and lowered. And then it was pretty much here, just have some free money. Then it turned out some of the money was taxable because the IRS wasn't on the same page as Congress. That supposedly has been fixed. So it is a tax-free grant. Then they said, well, you can't write off the expenses that you used that money for. That's been changed. Now you can write them off. So it truly is a tax-free, income tax-free, and you can write off the expenses. So, but it's back, you can get it. If you did not get PPP and you're interested in getting it, if you're one of my clients, please call me. If you have questions, I've got a handout I can get to you that pretty much explains everything. Gilbert at gilberttalkstaxes.com. Be more than happy to get this to you, but it is a thing. It is out there. And if we've had another round of shutdowns. If you've been affected by this, I definitely recommend you do this. Okay, so got that out of the way. Let me finish with this. You know, a lot of people have been asking me my opinion of what's going on. We were betrayed again, I feel. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it the way I see it. I've always been honest with you folks on this radio program. From the day my son died till this, I've always told you what I thought. Okay? And, I have to compose myself on this. I feel like we were betrayed. I feel like we've been betrayed by our vice president. I feel like we've been betrayed by our Congress. I feel like we've been betrayed by our Senate. I feel like this betrayal is real. For those of you that want to argue that there was no voter fraud, if there wasn't any voter fraud, why are they screaming at us that there was no voter fraud? People that are innocent don't behave the way they're behaving. So that, to me, is the evidence. But what I keep telling people is you feel betrayed. And my wife gave me this scripture in 1 Corinthians 11. 1 Corinthians 11:23. Paul says, "For I received from the Lord himself that which I passed on to you. It was given to me from Jesus personally, that the Lord Jesus Christ, on the night when he was treacherously delivered up, and while his betrayal was in progress, he took bread. And when he had given thanks, he broke it, and said, 'Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this to call me to remembrance.'" So nothing has changed in our world. Nothing has changed. January 20th isn't going to change anything. We still believe in Jesus Christ. We still serve God. We're still going to obey his voice. And we're still going to do his will. Because that is what we're called to do. regardless of the betrayal, regardless of how we feel. And while it really scared everybody in Washington, running up and tearing the doors off the hinges of the Congress is not the answer. Because this is a spiritual battle. And this battle's far from over. And it's not going to end January 20th. And it's not just the beginning. No, it began a long time ago when a lady named Eve told a man named Adam, I heard the snake tell me, has God really said? Okay, that's when it started. And so it's not going to end. And I think I'm over my time, Todd. I think I'm over time.